Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we'll be talking about real estate investing and answer all those questions you've been afraid to ask. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, it's no secret that some of the wealthiest Americans got started in real estate investing. I'm thinking about Jerry Jones. I mean, people know him for the Cowboys and oil, but he also owns a lot of property. He made some wise investments off the tollway a number of years ago. To talk about real estate investing, Rebecca with Results. She is with the Texas Homeowners Helpline. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for having me.
Well, I've got to talk about your nickname, Rebecca with Results, because it's catchy and I'll never forget it. How did that come up?
It was just one of those things that folks said, well, you're in real estate, you need a catchphrase. And I just started thinking about it, and I said, well, what do I do? I really want to bring results to the people that I serve. And so I said, well, Rebecca with Results.
It's perfect. And your life kind of took a little detour. You were heading down the law path for a while. What happened?
Sure. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was about 20 years old, and I was very happy working in the legal field in different capacities, and also doing community relations and things like that. And a now mentor of mine, a broker, said, "Hey, Rebecca, you would be great at real estate." And I said, I don't do sales. I don't do sales. And he says, well, that's why you would be good at real estate, because you don't do sales. You actually help people. And I thought, okay.
So it can be intimidating. I mean, a person who's never dabbled in real estate investing, they see those shows on TV and they think it's easy, and you really have to kind of do your homework and have a good tour guide like yourself to avoid some of the grenades that are out there.
Right.
When you work with clients and investors, and I know you work with people all over the country, why is Texas such a hot market?
Oh my goodness. Coming from California, I saw the growth back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I see all of those indicators here in North Texas, the job growth, a lot of the companies moving here. There's a lot of empty lots, to still build upon. And I think that not only that, but the people here are different. Add to that, we're in the center of the country. We have the transportation hubs. A lot of the corporations are moving here. So I think all of those make it a perfect storm, if you will.
Yes, and I would encourage my audience to follow her on social media platforms, because she's very active. We've got a little video that we're going to roll while you kind of talk about it. I think in this clip you're talking about foreclosures in Texas. Are foreclosures, I'm not a real estate investor. That sounds scary to me. Are foreclosures a great opportunity?
Foreclosures are a good opportunity, and one of the things is foreclosures are different here in North Texas, in Texas in general. There's not as many as other parts of the country, but it's because our process is different. And actually, in this video that we're showing here right now, we're talking about how quickly a foreclosure can happen. And so if a homeowner doesn't get help right away, or if they don't find somebody like us who can actually help them sell their home to an investor, unfortunately, they quickly go into foreclosure. So as far as a strategy for investors, it's definitely a good strategy, because you can not only help somebody, but you can get a great deal also.
Yes, and it just seems like with all these big names coming to Texas, Elon Musk recently announced he was moving to Texas. Why do you think it is Texas is such a lucrative place to call home?
Sure. One of the big reasons is the affordability, right? A lot of people right now are investing here in Texas because, they can buy 2 or 3 homes for the price of one in some of the other parts of the country. country. And not only that, but the number of people that are moving here, it's still growing. In some states, they've flatlined, or it's hard. It's become a buyer's market. Here, it's still very much a seller's market.
We've got a picture of a father-son team you helped recently. Tell us more about them.
Oh my goodness, yes. Is Israel Senior and Israel Junior. This is one of my favorite stories. These are actually contractors. They are contractors, and they were working on one of the houses that we had over in Oak Cliff in Dallas, and they said, hey Rebecca, how do we become investors ourselves? We would like to become investors. And they work with one of our team members, Angelica Buenteo, and she said, well, we can help you. And sure enough, we helped them find the right property for the right price. They did a lot of the work themselves, and thankfully they were able to make a nice handsome profit on it.
Wow.
So,
and I know that's your joy, is really helping
yes. people.
We've got some pictures of a recent event that you held. Tell me more about some of your events.
So this one is back in February, I Connect Texas. As you can see, we have very intimate groups. You can see nobody's standing from a podium speaking, right?
Sure.
This is more of an intimate group. This particular one was a multicultural panel. And we talk about, how do we impact people? Not just go about our daily business, especially as realtors, right? We have the unique opportunity to actually impact people. We're usually the first ones that they meet when they come into a new community. And so that's what we were talking about. How do you really impact people? How do you work on values? Dr. Betty Uribe was talking about values, the book that she has, and Miguel Martin is also, he has an education center, so he was talking about being a leader.
Yes, and you have a very active Facebook community for iConnect Texas. It's a nonprofit, so you're really helping real estate investors and realtors get plugged into their community?
Yes, exactly. So we help them get it plugged into the community because obviously it's not just about making money. If we can actually impact people, if we can connect people, then we're making a difference. And I call it the ripple effect. And I encourage people, be the pebble. Be that person that drops in the pond, and it's going to affect somebody's life. And we may never see those effects, right, as the ripple grows. But if we can all do that, just maybe once a day, drop that little pebble in the pond, it'll make a big difference in our community.
How do you find new investors, or how do they find you?
It's funny. We, although I have a marketing background, I don't really do a lot of advertising. It's a lot of word of mouth. I just this past Saturday met with someone who wants to get into real estate, who unfortunately lost a lot of money trying to do it on their own, and getting some bad advice. So they were referred to me by somebody else. So I got a lot of referral business, actually.
Wow, I like that. And you're really playing to your strength, which is connecting people.
Yes.
Why is that so rewarding for you?
Sure. I think that as the iPhone era, right, grows, people forget that simple connection, picking up the phone, making those phone calls. And that's actually how I came up with the logo for iConnect. If you notice our logo, it's a big I, a capital I. Because of the I era, everybody's so digital. I wanted to remind folks that we ourselves can stand up and be that person of change. And so the I stands for I myself being that person, and then also impact. I can impact. And there's a circle around the I because when we impact somebody, like I said, that ripple effect, it just continues on infinity, right, as far as the power of that.
And I should point out that, we're still in the throes of a pandemic, but
Yes.
Real estate prices in Texas were not impacted, were they?
No, not at all, actually. If anything, as far as our numbers, we've seen multiple offers on property. One of the properties that we actually put on the market received 24 offers within one day. And so that can just give you an idea of the market.
Well, I've met a number of Californians and a number of New Yorkers who they come here and they kind of freak out. They cannot believe how much land and property they can get for
Right.
the same dollars that they were spending on the coast.
Sure. Well, I'll give you an example. Yesterday I was driving in from the country. I was out in Kemp. And I was passing, I think, Crandall or Forney, one of those, and you can see straight through to the Dallas skyline.
Wow. When
When you go to a lot of these other, communities outside of the state, you can't see the downtown because there's so much, buildings. It's so overpopulated. So I think that makes also a unique location for us where we don't have that issue.
I love it. We're almost out of time. So final thoughts for the viewer, for the person who's nervous and say, well, I don't know if I have what it takes to get into real estate investing. What would you say?
You know, I would really encourage you to get past that fear, because until you take that first step, you're never going to take that step. And you don't want to look back 10 years from now and say, darn it, I should have bought that property, you know, over in Dallas or over in Fort Worth, that now is worth double, triple the amount. So I would say, the fear, right? False evidence appearing real. Just get over it and contact, not only us, but other people. There's a lot of people out there willing to help. And so I would just say, go for it.
Outstanding. Rebecca with Results, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to end by putting up your website so people can get in touch. It's TexasHomeownersHelpline.com. Rebecca with Results. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.